We are live. We'll give it a few minutes and let folks come on in. If you are in the Black WPT group, you should have access to add comments. You should have access, if you are watching us live on YouTube, you can leave a comment. And if you want your screen name to be seen, you have to authenticate or you have to click on the StreamYard link in the YouTube comment section or inside of the Black WPT group. There should be a link for you to click on and authenticate. It'll allow us to see your name. Otherwise, you can stay anonymous and submit questions and comments. We will get started let's give it a minute. Let folks start coming in. How you doing today, Steph?
Sounds good.
Good.
I'm telling Ellie that half my mouth is slightly frozen, so
You look great.
I'll go to the dentist tomorrow to get some stuff done.
You look awesome. This is going to be a much needed conversation. A lot of folks have interest in what you have to share. So I'm really excited that you took time to open yourself up because I know you're busy. I've even been sending you a bunch of folks as well who've been looking for career coaching. So I really appreciate you taking a few minutes of your crazy schedule stuff and coming in and talking to us.
Yeah, tech hiring has been interesting to say the least. I've even been looking at like roles for recruiters, and it's wild. It's like the roles release an hour and it's 300 applicants. So I feel for you guys. I feel for tech, and
something's happening. I'm not sure what, but something odd is happening. I'm hoping that we can break it down because I'm coming from the other side of it. Like you're the career coach, you're the professional, but I come from the management side of it, the business side of it, where I'm actually in the process of recruiting. So it's I have questions of my own, but we've been very blessed to have a bunch of folks who've sent in a bunch of comments and questions for you. So let's get started. I want to at least start with introducing you, Stephanie Heath, career coach, and welcome, Stephanie. I'm going to go into your bio. Let me know if that's good.
Go into the bio.
All right, let's do it. All right, here we go. So Stephanie Heath, she, her, is a job search career coach that helps individuals land soul-aligned 6 figures and 7 figures total comp corp positions with household name, mission-driven companies using practical personal branding and mock interview work, coupled with inner child journaling. Kundalini, no, I'm bad. Kundalini and meditation and manifestation practices. Her global online presence has transformed the lives of thousands of uninspired professionals by teaching them how to tap into their corporate worth, interview powerfully, and negotiate high 6 and 7 figure salaries. Her work has been featured in Forbes, CNN, Business Insider, Fox, Well Good, Hello Giggle, and The Muse. And also LinkedIn as well as in-person and online workshops, turning self-conscious interviewees into confident, multiple offer earners around the globe. She is a Jamaican American living and working in Brooklyn, New York, and hopes to adopt a Doberman soon. That's awesome.
And it's been on my list for so long.
Yes. So
at this point.
yes, welcome, Stephanie. I believe we may have went live before in the Black WPT channel, probably on some random conversations, but thank you so much for being here and lending yourself. I know your schedule is busy, and we want to just hop right in. Yes, I asked Stephanie a couple of weeks ago. She's a little busy. I asked her if she was willing to come in and talk to career seekers or individuals, in particular, ones who have been interviewing for roles within the tech field. Primarily, it was individuals who were looking to re-enter, whether it's an individual who got laid off, someone who took a career break, or someone who's just having a tough time sort of transitioning from their current situation in tech into a new role. And Stephanie said yes. So here we are. I had I put it out into the ether to have you all send your questions for Stephanie related to um, your basically your careers and things that you have been dealing with as far as interviewing and trying to sort of advance in the tech industry. So I'm going to start with me personally. I've known Stephanie for a while, and I've been sending her individuals who she has been working with for the last 3 to 4 years. I think, Stephanie, right? I've been sending you folks for a while, and she's been helping a lot of people.
Yeah,
Uh,
you send the best people. Definitely have some really good stories, some great girls. I want to say you sent me some men as well.
yes, yes,
Um,
yes, yes,
Still watch them on LinkedIn and see the promotions, and it's nice. So I appreciate it.
absolutely. I guess before we jump into like the questions, because there's a lot of them that people submitted, I want to at least take some time to learn about you
Mhm.
and how you ended up doing this soul work in six figures company that you have. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is and how it works?
Yeah, I always tell this story because it's kind of hilarious. So, yeah, I built a career in recruitment. My first role was as an agency recruiter, you know, hiring tech professionals into investment banks. So basically selling tech professionals into investment banks for the first few roles. After that, landed at Amazon for a while, learned how Amazon's work culture, just its work culture. Went to Sony, managed a few different groups, did all their hiring for them, acted as their like HR person. And then I went to Japan for 2 years, took a break, corporate burnout, came back, functioned as head of recruitment for a company servicing the financial industry and another startup in the cybersecurity space. And that company ended up laying off 75% of their staff a few months after I was hired, including some of the people I brought into the company. So at that point, I decided to just start my own business. I couldn't, continue. And the first company I started was Soulwork in Selfies, which did $0 because it was to help women develop self-esteem, which I didn't have at the time,
Mm,
which I'm still developing.
mm.
And my sister was like, "What are you doing? Why don't you help people get jobs? You know how to do that with your eyes closed." And so that's how Soulwork in Six Figures started 5 years ago. And we've been so blessed to work with women, with men, typically ambitious people that aren't being paid enough and are having a tough time on the job market.
Oh my goodness, I love the name. How'd you come up with the name? You gotta give us the name is just awesome. How did you even come up with that? And why was
I
it important?
mean, I've always been a really spiritual person. When I lived in Japan, I traveled a lot. I did a bunch of crazy, like, woo things. Like Christians call it like putting hands on you.
Mm,
They call it something else there. I did a bunch of like really interesting spiritual stuff. And I've always been like really obsessed with like spirit and God and like angels and like things you can't see. I've
oh,
seen weird things. I've seen my friends do weird things. And that's just always been a part of me. And I saw concretely with my clients that when they, potentially did like a meditation or introduced a Kundalini practice into their job search, meaning like before they went to bed or in the morning, they did whatever they did, they were just in a better mood and things started to happen within their search. So I started to make it
mm,
mandatory for the clients that I worked with to really incorporate meditation, breath work, or whatever, so that the whole messages that we're sending will land. And I can't explain it, but I literally have
mm.
had clients send the same cold message that wasn't working for a week. And then all of a sudden they're actually doing their meditation practice and everything starts moving for them.
Wow.
So now practically I focus more on the practical with job seekers because it's a crazy market. I don't even try to force them to do any of the
Mhm,
extra stuff, but
mhm.
that is the spirit and foundation of the company.
Wow, that's awesome. Wow, that is
That's
awesome.
that story.
No, it sounds like it's a ministry. It sounds like it's a ministry, like what you're doing. It's coming from the heart.
Well, now it's
Awesome.
more practical. I've even been a lot more practical. Like, how can we get these offers or interviews? Like, we'll do the other stuff later, but before the market turned into what it was more of a, okay, I want to become a better person in addition to joining this company. I want to step up in leadership, and we would incorporate all of that into our programs.
Love that. That's so awesome. I know you said earlier that your sister sort of encouraged you to start a business where you started helping people. But you, prior to that, like prior to you starting your business, you had already been in recruiting. Like, with all the experience and that you've had, like, what really drove you there to get into recruiting? What was like that thing that got you in?
Yeah, super simple: money. An agency to recruiter makes commission. I tell this story often too. I graduated my degree. My first few interviews, I got an offer as an HR assistant at this nice little family office in Long Island. And then I got another offer at a recruiting agency that was like, you can make 100K this year if you place these people. And I was like, okay. And that's what I did. And since then, a lot of my decisions have been influenced by making money. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I come from immigrant parents, first generation here. Like, we want to kind of do right by our culture. So there's nothing wrong with it, and it's fine. And
I love it. That's awesome. That's fantastic. You come from a very educated and very smart family too, by the way. Like, we've had those discussions. You talked about your sisters who influenced you, and they're all professionals as well. And yeah, of course, it all matches. So that's great. I want to ask you a whole bunch of other questions about you, but I think since there's like 100 questions in here that we received over the last week and a half, I think it's time to really just sort of step in. If you have questions, any of the listeners, if you have questions, you can post them in the comments, either whether it's on YouTube or within the Facebook group. If we have time at the end, we will kind of walk through some of the comments if there's questions in there. If not, we had a whole bunch of questions that people submitted. So I want to take time because we are a good 12 minutes in and jump into these questions. So I'll start with the first one. Despite the economy showing signs of increased job opportunities, why does it feel like tech jobs are becoming harder to land?
So I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. It feels like obviously there's a lot of competition. The tech boom happened a while ago. The boot campers came. People that actually got their degrees, etc., have been on the market for a while. And it's like then we have people overseas that are getting, going to school, our Java developers, or whatever, and they're entering the market with us. And so it just feels like even with like the laid off people, there's just a lot of people on the market. On top of that, I feel like where we are in the world, everyone wants more with less. So a hiring manager, I could send them, and I'm just going to use an outdated term, like a Java developer from a healthcare company, but we're a financial firm and we are working on cybersecurity products. They in the past would have taken that Java developer because they can easily transition to our products. But now it's like, no, I want the person that has a cybersecurity experience, that has worked at a finance firm before, because I can, and because their person above them is making sure that they don't want to spend money willy-nilly, if that makes sense. And so that's what's coming to mind for me. I also did write down some answers just to make sure I don't forget anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, they just want a perfect fit hire right now. And then the market is there's so many people on the market.
Saturated. There's a lot of folks who got laid off. There's a lot. We posted, I know at least at the organization that I'm at, I've been doing JDs and job recs, and we posted up job recs on our website, and I think I got 100 in like 2 days.
That's good. I see it's like 300 in an hour.
Yep.
It's just we're at the tail end now. Everyone was like, oh, run to tech, run to tech. The young people that were in college are all, out of college now. They have the degree. It's just a lot of people in the space. That's my point of view on it. So.
I mean, how does that make you feel as a recruiter, though? I mean, that's a good thing for you, though, because you have more to choose from, right?
That is true. But for me as a recruiter, I still find that the person that we're looking for is still elusive. So let's say, Amazon has their traditional roles, their SDE1, SDE2.
Mhm.
Um, most people aren't good enough to function in that role. They want the comp sci degree, they want whatever else they want.
Mhm.
And for me as a recruiter, for me, it even like this year, it still feels like the people that apply, we get so much more, but it's like 70% at minimum are not qualified for the role. They may, and I don't know if they're just not writing their resume the way they need to, but it's
Right.
almost like, let me just take a shot and apply to this role. And for the majority of my time and my colleagues' time, we look at the applications because we have to, but we're still mostly poaching people because that's the good people. The good people are most of the time still
Mhm.
employed, and we're looking at our competitors. And that has been true since I started in recruitment in the mid early 2000s. So we get a
Mhm.
lot more, but it's just like it's still like a needle in the haystack to find that perfect fit. And we have more perfect fit now, but
That's intriguing. And I guess we can go into this a little bit later, but like you talked about, like maybe they're not writing their resume right. Maybe they actually are maybe qualified, but the resume needs work. That's a whole nother. That's a whole nother conversation, which I'm pretty sure some of these questions allude to, um, sort of that being an issue of why they're not being selected as well. But that's deep. Okay. If you are on YouTube, do me a favor. We're trying to get our YouTube up. I'm trying to get some traction for these sort of conversations. Click on the like button and definitely subscribe to our channel, please. All right, let's keep going. What are some of the trends that you are seeing in hiring these days?
for me, it seems like the recruiter conversations are shorter. That initial recruiter call, they used to be about 30 minutes. Now it's like just a 15-minute quick view.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of companies are using those personality interview video things where you have to like get shot for 15 minutes answering a bunch of different questions and then you submit it before you even meet with someone. I'm also seeing in-person interviews are coming back around, and with the same vein, assessment interviews. So video yourself doing this thing, send it to me, and then we can meet.
Excellent. Um, hmm, okay. I have this question on here, which I thought was pretty unique. Somebody had submitted it. How does the resume ATS systems hurt or help candidates? And what suggestions do you have to pair with them?
Yeah, I did like this question a lot. So you guys probably aren't going to do this, but there are some well-known ATS systems. So there's Jazz HR, there's a bunch of others I can't remember.
Mm.
And since the market is so flooded right now, and traditionally recruitment teams are undersourced, it's like one person doing two jobs. Um, Sometimes we are going to rely on the ATS. So if I was in tech right now, if I was a developer, there's no way that I'm applying to a role without grabbing the job description and verbatim taking the language from the job description and matching it to my experience, not necessarily copying and pasting the entire sentence, but
Mhm.
using their language. Just
Mhm.
because, like, if I'm so like an Amazon recruiter, they have sourcing teams that will go through everything. But let's say there is a company that has like 1,000 to 2,000 employees, a recruitment team of 10, and they get like 350 applicants within 3 days for a development role.
Mhm.
Um, we are mandated to go through all of those resumes, or let's say they get 600. We're mandated to go through them, but sometimes we just can't. So we may rely on a feature in the ATS system which says they'll give you a score, like, oh, this person is 60% matched to the role. And sometimes we can toggle by letting those resumes come first, and sometimes we just like good recruiters will start from the beginning and work their way up. So there, basically what I'm saying is that there's recruitment teams out there that will take shortcuts because they have to. And if you are someone that's like, 15 years of experience, 20 years of experience,
Mhm.
you know what you're doing, but you don't like writing resumes. Like we get those people all the time in tech. It's like they don't like writing resumes. The resume is like one page. It's one or two sentences. It's written for like a developer's eye versus a recruiter's eye. They hate LinkedIn. They don't respond to messages. Like I can see these people. But the thing is that, and great, those are the people we poach. But if you're applying, if you've been laid off or you're actually applying, then how are we going to find you? Especially if you're applying to companies that are competitive. So
She got on me about my resume, you guys. I had her take a look at it.
Girl, yes. It's always, and it's a joke because it's like the most qualified people have the most bare bones resumes, but most recruiters don't even know what you guys do. Like we don't know what you do.
Yeah.
So we can't like infer that this sentence means 4 paragraphs.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's such a big margin between the candidate and the recruiter. There's this big gray area where I don't know what you do and you barely know what I do. And it's like, how do I translate that to you so you can look at me? And then it sounds like from a recruiter side, you're like, how do I give you a chance, but you're not putting it in this document for me to look at? Like,
yeah, but we're doing better. Like hiring managers typically will sit down with us and teach us what to look for in the resume and blah, blah, blah. And then there's books out there. There's conferences that we take to learn, especially tech recruiters. Like we have to know your job. But for the most part, I would not chance it.
But I mean, does that mean, okay, so with that being said, does that mean that these ATS systems could possibly be the reason why some people are being passed up?
Absolutely. I just described the person that's like, they have a ton of experience, they don't know how to write a resume, and they happen to be on the job market right now. It's my belief that usually the best people aren't really unemployed for a long time. And I know people get laid off and stuff, but they are usually snapped up quick, especially in tech. But if you do find yourself on there, hire someone to write your resume.
Yeah, that's another thing.
At the most. If you're in SF, I think like, $1,500 because that market is a little bit more competitive, but
yeah,
I'm going to do it and then don't think about it.
I've encouraged a few friends of mine to just, because they've just some of the resumes that I see that come through our system. I mean, currently, I'm just like, come on.
But you know what to look for, so it doesn't matter. You're just like, okay, I can get it, but
yep. Hire somebody to do it if you don't know how, and the chances will be significantly greater knowing what to get on that resume. That's like the first big step. And these when I saw this question come in, I was like, it made me think like maybe these ATS systems are what the problem is, or maybe it's the candidate is just not, that can literally spawn out to a whole nother conversation with me talking about AI, but I'm not even going there right now. So
okay. If you're applying to smaller companies that, aren't that competitive, not household name people, you know what I mean? It's like 50 people, 70 people apply, you can get away with any sort of resume because the recruiter's going to want to interview you. But most of the companies that you want to be at that has good benefits, we won't even see the resume. And then on top of that, we'll probably get to this, but you can apply, but you need to have FaceTime with someone, which is where messaging recruiters on LinkedIn and like messaging people on the team is going to be really key for someone in tech.
That is, that's critical, especially with there being so much competition out there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. That was good stuff. There's another question here. It says, there are posts on Blind Reddit about recruiter ghosting. We've been talking about this a lot in the group, recruiter ghosting. It says there are posts on Blind Reddit about recruiter ghosting. Why would a recruiter ghost a candidate?
So many reasons. So this is, in my opinion, and I have a lot of friends that are recruiters as well. We're very embarrassed about this. For me, it just feels like we're understaffed. So if you are ghosted and you're in like the 3rd round, late stage interview round, I can guarantee like 90% of it is the hiring manager where they're like, oh, I like this person, but let's finish up our interviews this week. Or the recruiter is chasing behind the hiring manager to get feedback. They're overworked. They're doing the job of 4 people in addition to trying to hire for their team. So it's like we're messaging them on Slack. We're like, hey, did you put your interview notes in on this person? What did you think of them? Like, we're trying to get time to get that feedback and we're not getting it. Or they're just like wavering on what their decision is, So it's like if you're in the third round, late stage round, and company ghosts you, it's because of the hiring manager, and then it just fell through the cracks. So we probably have anywhere from 10 roles to 35 roles we're hiring for one recruiter in tech, and it fell through the crack. Some of these companies don't have systems where we have automatic emails that'll go candidates, which a lot of companies are implementing now. So you should be getting like automatic emails. We should be getting fall through the cracks, but sometimes that happens. And if you get ghosted by, you're working with an agency recruiter and they're sending you to a company, a lot of times those people are driven by commission. They have a lot going on, and a lot of times the integrity isn't there. They just don't care. You're like a dime a dozen. That's that reason. And then initial stages, if you're getting ghosted, I would say that that's another just like falling through the cracks.
So it's not the recruiter being a jerk, because we.
If you're late stage, it's the hiring manager coupled with us just having a lot. But I don't know any recruiters that would like just ghost.
Yeah.
It's a mistake, and it's just.
I'm happy you cleared that up, because we've had some really, really intriguing. I don't know if you. I'm pretty sure that you have not been in any of we do these bi-weekly check-ins. We do one in the evening and then one during the day, and they're the Black WPT group. And they're on Tuesdays. One is on Tuesdays and one is Thursdays. We have one coming up later today. But in those conversations, people have been saying they've been getting ghosted. And the feeling from candidates is that the recruiters are just trying to get you in to fill a slot that they interviewed you, and then sort of leave you hanging. So I'm happy you cleared that up, because
we'll get fired. Like that can't be. We'll get fired. Like there's metrics. People will write on Glassdoor that there's no recruiter that would just do that. It's just.
I'm so happy you cleared that up, because that is. Yeah, I could see people being upset with recruiters because they're not, you know what I mean? Like they're.
I mean, I'm saying it's the recruiter / the hiring manager, but like I said, if it's late in the stage, just understand that maybe follow up. But I wouldn't even want you guys to follow up, because that's that's not very dignified as well. Like I wouldn't want to follow up if I had like a third round interview with a company, but like I said, a lot of time we're just waiting on feedback, and then we don't get it, and then it just goes on and on and on. We have to put our attention to someplace else. And I did want to make this point that if you are chasing feedback from a recruiter, then it's likely you're not the top pick for the role anyway. So just keep that in mind. And if you want to bring the company back online, I always recommend sending an email, kind of dangling another opportunity in front of them. So, hey, just want to check in, have some final stage interviews that are wrapping up this week. I know you're super busy. The hiring manager's blah, blah, blah. I want to just kind of just jump back in to see if XYZ was being scheduled. Here's my availability. And the recruiter can use that to say, hey, hiring manager, this person has another final interview. Do you want to blah, blah, blah? And that can kind of turn things around for you.
Got you. That's great. Great advice. That's fantastic. We've had a lot of folks too had some questions, and I was trying to filter through some of the ones related to re-entering. And I sort of stuck this one in here, but it says, for those who have lost jobs or who have transitioned out of tech roles, what advice can you give to those trying to re-enter?
So I wrote down that I would work my network and work for free, so you have something hands-on to put on the CV to fill in the gap. So if you transitioned and you're in like some sort of tech adjacent role now, you're going to still need some hands-on experience. So I don't know what that would be for you. Like if you want to develop something on your own, if you want to join someone else's project and do like low bono, pro bono, but you need something that's hand-on to put in the space. And then if you've just been laid off, then it's going to be working your network and again having some sort of work that you can put in on the resume there.
That's great advice. Yeah.
That's going to be a take a chance on me conversation, which can happen. It's just like your application strategy is going to be way less about applying to companies and more so let's pull out your network, your address book, and see what we can do.
Yeah. I've also given that advice to group members as well. Some of them are sort of in between jobs and in between roles or been laid off or whatever. Definitely advise them to, if you can find someone, find a company to volunteer. And, basically it helps with keeping your skill set up to date, number one. But it also allows you something to put on your resume in that empty space that you have away from the job that you transitioned from. And so I've actually, in the organization that I'm at, I've had several people come to me and offer to come in as a part-time developer. I have two people who have offered to volunteer, and they're actively working on projects with me right now because they're in between. But yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Find somewhere to volunteer, join a group, network, and see if you can, if you can slide in that way, or just have a point on your resume, right?
No, I think that's perfect. And don't put it down as volunteer on the CV. Just like
No,
have
no, don't put it right. Exactly,
daily employment.
exactly. Excellent. For those of you who are on YouTube, I'm going to shoot out a reminder again. Press the like button for me, please. We want to get these conversations that we have out to the masses if we can. Do me a favor and subscribe and then share the video. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, this is another one that keeps coming up. Whether it be a post that somebody puts in. I have a few Facebook groups that I manage and a couple of offline groups as well. And these conversations come up a lot about DEI. So can you talk about how the decline of DEI in companies, has it changed? Well, okay, let me go back. Can you talk
Okay.
about how the decline of DEI in companies have or have not changed the workplace in terms of hiring, and what the journey looks like for diverse talent going forward?
So I do have an opinion on this. I'd love to maybe hear your opinion because I want to see if this is a safe space. I feel like
I
my
know,
opinion sometimes doesn't align.
this has a relation to recruiting, right? Because like if a company is entrenched in their DEI efforts, they're going to come to staff and they're going to come to you and say, "Hey, find us some diverse candidates. Find us folks who are, diverse in their nationalities. Find us some gender neutral people. Find us people, right? Find us diverse candidates." But like, it seems from my perspective, okay, and I know some things, but it seems like there has been a decline in the interest of DEI. And I'm not saying that because I've slowed down on DEI efforts in my org or the previous org that I was just at. Hint, hint. But like, but it does seem like there isn't a huge push. Like if you look back for when the George Floyd stuff was happening, right? All this protests surrounding that, and companies were like, they were knee deep in trying to figure out, how do we support this cause? How do we get more people in there? How do we solve the problem? And it kind of slowed down a little bit, at least from my perspective. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you may have not necessarily persuaded me, but like I didn't think about it that way. So I think what you're saying is that there were like documented actual efforts to increase diversity on teams, and now that's not mandated.
Mhm.
And I think that's a great point. What I thought about when I saw this question was that for me, I feel like the market is still ours for diverse candidates, whether you're a woman, a person of color, your sexual orientation is different, you're neurodivergent. I still feel like those demographics have a leg up over the, Asian American, and I know that person's a person of color too, but like our Caucasian person, because, and especially for leadership roles, it's like, oh, I can check the box, and it's a coup if I can have 4 developers or like a woman-led tech team,
Mm.
you know? And that's my point of view from being a recruiter and being on the hiring side, and kind of just seeing like they want these things just for the optics of it. And then if you're good at your role and you can, in my opinion, have transcended allowing who you are to affect how you're communicating with people and doing your role, then it's like perfect.
Mm.
So I still feel like it's a benefit, and for me.
Do
But
you?
I see your point of view.
I know you work independently. You're, at least your company works independently with companies who are basically contracting you to help them solve problems in hiring and help them hire. Do you get a lot of companies to say, "Hey, we want more women. We want more black males. We want more"? Do you get sourced for those sort of those type of roles still?
Well, this may back up your point. I did get a contract to help a company rewrite their job postings to attract more diverse candidates. And I want to say that was the end of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't gotten a contract like that again, but I also haven't done any marketing at all in
Mm-hmm.
2023. So,
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if not seeing it like plastered around social media, or the LinkedIn thing was really really hot for a while, of like seeing like, hey, if you have a friend, refer them. And it was a very very big push sort of around that time. um and everything has its time, and then it sort of fades a little bit.
mhm.
But that's a concern that a lot of people have stressed to me within the groups, within some of the conversations that I've had, is that they're worried about, now that it seems like it's cooled down a little bit, that the chances for diverse talent is back to where it used to be, where it's not important anymore. And so I'm happy that you sort of shedded some light on that it is still important. Um, and I'm hoping that that's really the case, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I just feel like there's so many things that we have to work through, whether you are looking for a new role or attaining some other goal, that if we can like put our delusional glasses on and like let go of these beliefs, even if they have been proven true, it'll help us. Um,
Yeah.
so, let's not try to have that be another reason why we can't get a role where it's like DEI efforts aren't as cool as, as in the forefront as it used to be. But just focus on how we can work with what we have, which
It does get stuck in your brain. Like it could get stuck in there. It's like, okay, well, people aren't hiring anyways. They're not hiring black people. They're not hiring Asian people anyway. So I'm not even gonna bother. It could. I
but
get where
they
you're
are
coming from.
hiring. They are hiring. I have not worked at any company where it's not a coup, where they would not hire a black, brown person over, you know, another person with the same skill set because it makes them look good, just only for that reason. And I've worked at startups, finance, cybersecurity, government contracting, you know,
Yeah.
Amazon, like all different companies, all different sorts of industries.
Yeah. I
So
mean, I'm pretty sure it does still happen, but like it is important to know that companies are still rallying for a diverse workforce. So that's key. I appreciate you commenting on that. All right, we can probably go back to that too. If you guys have questions around this or the DEI stuff, throw them in the comments, and I will try and save time um, to answer some of those questions that you guys have. But I want to keep going because I got a whole bunch of them in here. Um, Advancing in your career as a remote worker versus an on-site, what would you suggest?
um I would suggest making friends. So, making it a part of your job duties to connect with people outside of your team, maybe get to know people on the product team, marketing team, finance. Like, if you have to interface with them on something, if you want to, hey, yeah, outside of this project we're working on, I'm new. Would you want to just get on like a quick 15-minute chat just to kind of meet? Taking that into your role will work off. I'm sorry, I'm like, it's the end of the day, Lord.
No
Um,
worries, no worries.
there's
I'm
more
gonna,
to your role than just like doing the project that's assigned to you. Like you have to quote unquote politic and stuff like that, and it'll pay off in dividends. So be that person that's meeting everyone if you're remote.
yeah, I found in my teams, um, a lot of my teams are having a really, really tough time with trying to upskill, trying to find time to upskill. It's different when you're remote. Like you, at the end of the day, you're exhausted, right? You've been on Zoom all day, you're staring at your computer, you've had these set of tasks to get done. You're looking at Jira all day. You're communicating with your manager. There are a lot of things that you're doing with your face in your computer all day as a tech worker now. And at the end of the day, the last thing you feel like doing is like taking a class at night, you know? Like so I found that to be true with a lot of my team members where I'm encouraging them like, hey, you want to get your AWS certification? We'll send you. Let's let and they're not enthusiastic about it. So yeah, I don't know. I'm one of those people who I'm not a big fan of remote work, and I hate to say this. Okay, I let people remote work, and all of my teams are remote, but I'm really not a big fan of it because I feel it does put a strain on you mentally to not unplug sometimes. So that's my thoughts. Okay, my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Uh, the benefit of advanced degrees and promotions, are there any? That's a good question. Are there, from a recruiter's perspective, when you see somebody with a lot of experience on their resume, but they may not have the degree, what do you guys think versus someone with that degree?
So if the hiring manager loves you, if you're just good, they can advocate for you. I've seen that happen. Like HR was like, no, this person doesn't have their background check didn't come right or blah blah blah. And the hiring manager's like, well, I want them and I'm gonna go above you. There's that. If there's a cert that's required, get the cert, like that's needed. And just think about where you want your career to go. And so that's it. So if you know that you want to be managing a team and for some reason an MBA is required, which that's never required, but whatever it would be, then you will need to invest and get that. But just to say you're going to go out and get like a LinkedIn certification, those little certs that they have on there, or like some sort of boot camp certification thing, I wouldn't waste my time on that. Depending, not boot camp, but those course places that have those
Accelerated
40,
course.
yeah,
Yeah.
those sort of things, they don't hold a lot of weight in our eyes. Experience would hold more weight. Just think
Mm.
about what your career needs, like what's it's requiring of you, and then get that. Um,
Mm.
and I know for certain demographics, like someone that's from like Nigeria or, they will want to just arm themselves with as much degrees and blah, 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 because
Mm.
they have a lot to battle through, which is in terms of their self-worth, competing with other people. But um, think about what your role is requiring and what the future of your role is requiring. And if it's not a requirement, then you don't need to go above and beyond.
I get that question a lot. I get folks who, like, we had a bunch of infrastructure roles that had opened up, and the first thing that everybody felt that they must have was like, their GCP cert or their AWS, a series of AWS certifications. And I'm like, I don't really care about certifications. Can you do the work? Like, can you build me a multi-tenant, server solution?
Well,
Yeah.
I will say you're a hiring manager, so that's how you feel. So if you
Mhm.
interview someone, you're okay with it. But to get to you, sometimes a hiring manager will tell us, make sure they have this cert and not the other one
Mhm.
because they know it'll be required. And that's the block. But if we weren't here and you know what I mean, if you're looking at your own resumes, LaShawna, then that's probably why you don't have that thing.
So it depends. It
Yeah.
depends.
So
Okay.
like government city roles though, they're really strict about certs and
Yeah.
degrees. And then like you'll need clearances for certain like government contracts.
Mhm.
And even like cybersecurity, like pen testers, you guys need a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff.
Mhm.
So it just depends.
Gotcha. Got it. So certs are good to have. I guess to sum up with what your advice is, they are good to have.
The
It depends.
Coursera one.
It depends.
It depends, which is why you should meet with like a job search advisor, a career counselor, a mentor, you know what I mean? Like ask them, someone who's hired, you know? And then think about what companies you're targeting. A startup may be like LE, like they don't care. They don't even accept resumes. One of the companies I worked for, my hiring manager hated resumes. He wanted to see your GitHub. That was it. So
Mm,
just think about where you're going and what they would need and want.
yeah, I could understand why he would hate seeing resumes. I hate looking at resumes too, but
Yeah,
it is what it is.
he never wanted us to send him resumes.
All right, this was kind of vague. Somebody said, I'd like to know very specific ways to network and showcase my skill sets so that I don't have to cold call with a resume. Right now, I have a niche set of skills that I rely on. I want to know how to stand out as a candidate.
Okay, for some reason that question sounds a little vague to me
It's
too
very
right
vague.
now.
Mhm.
I'm trying to so can you repeat the question? How to network and they have a
Yeah,
niche skill set, right? And
yeah,
they don't cold message people?
yeah. It sounds like this person wants advice on how to get their resume in front of either a recruiter or a hiring manager without going through the normal cold calls, the normal reaching out through LinkedIn, etc.
So for me, that's like a 6-month game, and it's not even a game. So it brings it back to taking your career really seriously. So for example, the pen tester community apparently is very small. Everyone knows each other. You guys go to all the same conferences and stuff. If I was me, I would be like a volunteer at the conference or a part of it, like a fundraising type person. I would be a part of competitions and be in those Slack channels and those Discord channels and help people with their projects. And then, 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, years, as people get to know you, it's like, oh, my buddy has an opening on his team and the role won't be posted for a while. Do you know anyone that could be a good fit? And then you're handing your resume over. So this should be a part of your lifestyle anyway. But if you also
Mhm.
just don't want to be the person that's like applying and like you have a niche, then be a known member, a part of that niche community.
I know being a tech, we're probably not the most social group of folks. So, the thought of like networking and putting yourself out there is kind of, it's a little, eh, but I have said this multiple times. One of the reasons why I created the Black WPT group is for people to start networking and connecting. The organization I'm at right now, I networked with this fella who brought me in as the head of engineering at this company. I networked with him years ago. He reached out to me. So just having that network and being able to connect with people in the space does wonders for you. It may not even be something that is like right away, right now, when you start connecting and linking with people. It may happen, 2 or 3 years down the road, or when you end up in a situation where you're transitioning from a job or a role and, you go to your network. So that's what Black WPT is. We are a network. That's what we're here for. So yeah, I don't, I don't know. I don't think there is a way outside of the traditional ways of um, of cold calling and reaching out outside of you going to your network and saying, "Hey, I'm on the market. Hey, here's my resume. Do you know anybody who may be looking for a senior engineer, et cetera?" So that's my 2 cents on that thought.
I'm going to share a little bit. I definitely get it because when I think about my role, my team wants me to go into like alpha.com or like careercontest.com and answer form questions so people can, you know what I mean? And that's the same thing. It's like putting myself in the space where my peers and potential clients hang out. And to me, that feels like pulling teeth. Like I don't want to do it. But
Mhm.
to your point, like your group doesn't feel like a networking channel.
Mhm.
And it's probably one of the strongest networking channels that I know for
Mhm.
Black tech folks, where it's like you guys are writing funny things, it's on
Mhm.
Facebook.
Mhm.
So if you can kind of just like get behind doing that, then it'll pay off for you. And that is what true networking is. It's just talking to people that you know, and then all of a sudden you know each other for a while and they send you some roles and some things. And the last thing I'll say is that I had a white colleague who I don't think she's ever interviewed for a role. She started off at like investment banking with me, ended up at hedge fund, etc. Now she's been at a bank for like the last 6 years. And every single role, it was a friend of hers saying, hey, blank name, we need a blank person on this team. And that's because
Mhm.
she's not
Mhm.
even friendly. I think she's an introvert.
Mhm.
She's a good person. So people know her. So,
Mhm.
and most of the developers I know tend to be good people. Like they're not chatty. They're not, you know what I mean? Like they're
Right.
stoic. So you
Mhm.
guys, you know what I mean? So yeah.
No, that's great. That's fantastic. Yeah. Um, Tex, you got to put yourself out there. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to. I'm a total introvert, okay? But I still do it.
You would
Not
never know it though.
I'm a total introvert. I'm a total introvert.
You're, you have
Most
the
people
best.
know it. I know how to sort of convert myself when it's necessary, but I am. I enjoy my alone space. I network because it is really what keeps me motivated in this field. That's the reason why I've been in technology for so long is my network. Is if I didn't have you guys, if I didn't have these groups, if I didn't have DevColor and National Society of Black Engineers, if I didn't have these groups that encourage me, that help me build my network with people who interest me, I would just be a normal, I would probably be, I don't know, driving a bus or something. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, but I
So
think that has definitely encouraged me to stay in the field is the way I've built my network. And the last few roles that I've had, just like the young white lady who you were mentioning, the Caucasian lady,
I
and
know.
how she ended up gravitating into her roles because people knew her and trusted her. And that's kind of been my experience over the last 3 roles that I've been in. I really haven't had to do too much interviewing. I've gravitated into them. So it works. Awesome. All right, let's keep going. We got a whole bunch of these in here. I want to
Your
make sure we have time.
your
Um,
reputation precedes itself, and I could see that. You know what I mean? Like people know you as a good, solid person. So
yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. If you're joining us on LinkedIn, and if you're in the Black WPT group in our live, hop over to YouTube and click on the subscribe button for me, please. Click on like. We want to make sure that these conversations are getting out to the ether to other technologists who may need career support, need career help. These conversations help people. And I'm hoping that they will encourage us to stay in the field and not go away. So click on like, please subscribe to our channel and yeah, show some love in that way. Um, this one's different. It says, it would be helpful to also know details about how a requisition is compiled.
mhm.
So yeah, let's just stop there.
No, I'm gonna say they're speaking my language. I know what that is.
Yeah, I'm sure you know that. Yeah.
Okay, so how's a rec compiled? So it depends on the company. Um, Usually what happens is a hiring manager will call us or Slack us. I have a new role that's coming down the pipe. I'm getting budget approved for it. I just want to let you know. And then maybe we'll have an intake form that we send to them to fill out budget, team, skills needed, education, need to have preferred skills, interview details like who's going to be on the interview team, how many
Mhm.
rounds, how do you want, you know what I mean? And then we'll schedule a session with them to kind of talk through all of that. And then maybe we'll schedule another session for them to teach us about the role, or they'll just tell us there. And then the recruiter gets to work. So we'll craft the job description and then we post it, and then we also start sourcing on it as well, which is like poaching people for it.
Is it common for a recruiter to during the creation of the rec? Is it common for the recruiter to help in the process, the hiring process, or is that solely, do you guys solely rely on the hiring manager or whoever else to craft that sort of process?
We do it. They're so busy. So they don't even like filling out forms. They just would rather get on a call with us and talk at us, and we're just typing up things, which is fine. It's super interesting. Like we learn a lot as well. So they just tell us what we need. We ask questions. We get as much as we can on that call, so we don't have to take up their time again. And then yeah, we do everything. We'll craft the job description, write it ourselves. Thank God for AI now. We'll have a database of old roles that are similar, and then we'll shoot it back over to them to just give it an overview. Sometimes we have to kick it up to their manager for approval, depending on how large the company is. And then after that, once we're allowed to, we'll post it. So we're doing everything.
Got it. Gotcha. Sounds like it's a group effort for the most part, but you guys are technically, you're driving the process.
We're doing the hands-on work, but yeah, it's a group effort in the initial stages.
Got it. Somebody else asked, based off of roles you sourced recently, which should we be upskilling in?
I prefer you answer this. So the last company that I helped with recruitment was for a cybersecurity org that had a lot of government contracts. So holding clearances was important for us. And then we hired a bunch of pen testers, and they wanted specific certs for that. So that's just the last role that I've worked on. And then I've also heard offhand, like system design is important, but you can answer this question a lot better, I think.
Yeah, I'm right along with you. Cybersecurity is hot right now. It is really, really hot. I'm seeing a lot of at least friends of mine who have roles that are opening up surrounding cybersecurity. Pen testing is a big thing. Infrastructure and cloud experience is another huge thing. With AI becoming becoming the thing now. Having cloud experience and system design is critical, especially if you know how to design architecture surrounding or to support AI. So yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, on top of what you just said about the company that you were with, have you been sourcing or supporting any AI related roles lately?
Probably, yeah. Not in like the last 3 months, only because I've kind of let them go a little bit in terms of me working with them. But yeah, there's always some sort of AI role or some AI component to a role. And then with the cloud, a lot of employers are now asking for Google cloud experience, where I think it's like GCP, whereas before it wasn't.
Gotcha. Great. And again, when you guys are listening to this conversation, keep in mind that Stephanie is a recruiter. She's also a career coach too. So she comes from a few different perspectives. She is looking at, career growth. She's also looking at what the companies want. So we're coming to people like her as recruiters, and we're saying what we want. And her job is to go and translate that to you all and find the candidates and, help us craft that process. So, it's to me, it's really good to have both sides of an understanding of what a recruiter does, because a lot of us don't know that. A lot of us don't know we just think that you're scouring through resumes all day, but like you're literally helping craft out the entire hiring process with us managers or with us leaders, and then having the advice from a career perspective, because a lot of folks have been asking career related questions. Is also another awesome thing about this conversation, is hearing you give advice from a career coaching perspective too. Like, this is free game. This is free game that we're getting literally on this call. So I appreciate you, Stephanie.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That was good.
We got about 10 minutes to go. I want to get through, I'm going to try and see if I can get through these last, there's more on here, but I'm going to try and see if I can get through at least 3 more of these questions, and maybe 3 to 4 minutes of some questions in the chat before we let you go. What high-paying tech jobs will be what high-paying tech jobs will be in high demand in the next few years?
I'm gonna let you take that one, Ellie.
I'm saying AI all the way. I am, and it's not because I work for a company that's building AI right now, but it is what I'm seeing between friends. Again, I am entrenched in the tech community. Like, I am in there, okay? And I'm seeing a lot of roles being crafted surrounding the need for AI in multiple spaces of tech. So that's high on my list. AI, is going to be one of the highest paying. We talked about cloud experience and system design. Cybersecurity is always going to be important, especially now with AI being the ethical pieces of AI, and then the security pieces of it as well being critical. I could see cybersecurity also staying up high as well. Have you seen any trends at all?
I would say cybersecurity. And I feel like even if you aren't a developer, there's like some roles that I hired for recently where it's like someone's in the company and making sure that everything is done by the standards. I'm just blanking on the names, but you don't have to be a developer. But like for example, NIST. Have you heard of
Mhm.
NIST?
Yep.
Yeah, like there's
Volunteer. Yep.
tons of roles, and they're like 150K, around like 150, 145. And they're really good for people that have a military background, and then
Mhm.
you kind of grab some certs and then start your way in that space. So for me, it would be cybersecurity.
Yeah. Also, as techs, like, don't sleep on, if you're displaced or you were laid off, don't sleep on the other sort of areas of tech either. Like, I don't want to say Scrum, but like the technical program management, the technical project management. Those are areas, if you are a software developer, you can like merge into those areas with your current experience too. Those also pay really good. I I'm literally writing a JD right now for a technical program manager to come in and help with some programs surrounding some things that we're building. But those are also 150,000 and higher sort of roles. So, and those are not necessarily fingers in code, but those are really strategic and strategy, and high understanding of like business intelligence sort of roles that you should not sleep on.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
would say definitely do it if that's your character though. If you are someone that is like organized and you can get people to do things and you have high emotional intelligence, don't just do it because you're tired of coding and you want to switch over, because there's a lot of people targeting those roles as
Good
well.
point. Yep.
And then also just keep in mind, if you want to come back to being hands-on, it may be a bit of a journey to get back there once
That's
you
true.
decide to kind of leave. So just weigh the pros and cons. That's a great idea.
That's a whole other talk, Stephanie, about
Amazing.
about going from IC to leadership and then back to IC again and leadership again. And we've had those discussions, but yeah, it's a gamble, and it's work to be able to hop in and out of those areas of tech. But
Mhm.
yeah, hopefully that was good enough. So cybersecurity, AI, all those other sort of
Cloud.
areas, technical program management, technical project management, or project management. There's other areas that I've been also researching too. ServiceNow is a big thing, application developers like Workday developers, Salesforce developers. Those are also really, really high paying areas where
Yeah.
you have the tool and solution already built, but you become an expert in advising or building or supporting those platforms. So those are another areas to look at.
Yeah. you could look at those roles. Larger companies like the Whirlpools, the huge conglomerate companies, they have those roles. I will say it's saturated with like East Asian, like people from like visa holders tend to, from what I've seen. So, potentially it may be a benefit to you to apply because some teams do have bias and would prefer a native English speaker.
Mhm.
Um, and also just know that that'll be your career path for a while. Because like once you enter that route of like working on only one software tool, then it's
Mhm.
like a ServiceNow or
Gotcha. Yep, yep, yep. Somebody asked a question about, or someone submitted a question a while ago about how to stay competitive as a 50 plus year old job seeker.
yeah, I love this question. For me, it's about personal branding and working on your character. So you need to update the LinkedIn photo to something fresh and snazzy. If you wear glasses, do like a bright red frame or get someone to style you. I've purchased photo shoots for my clients that are above that age.
Mhm.
Nice lipstick, get a new haircut. If you're a guy, you know, have the salt and pepper looking good. Like
Mhm.
be the person that a young person would want to work with when they see your photo on LinkedIn. It's extremely important.
Mhm.
And then work on the ego. I think the fear that employers have is that they're not going to be want to be told what to do. You're going to have to work on that. They're slow moving. You're going to have to work on that. They can't ramp up with technology. There's like four fears. You can work on all of those things.
Mhm.
So it's very easy. And I tell them that companies would rather hire a more mature person that can hang and be fresh and like happy over someone that's younger because you have that maturity with you. So they would rather hire that type of person than the other one.
Mhm.
But you just look kind of crazy on LinkedIn. Like you
Mhm.
have like a photo of a flower or
Mhm.
you in it's like a dark photo of yourself.
Mhm.
So those are the two areas you need to work on.
Stephanie has some. She we we collaborated on a ebook years ago, and she had some really really good information on how to clean up your LinkedIn. I mean, it was stuff that hadn't even thought about, like And so, I don't know. At the end of this, we're gonna share her contact info and her website. Um, but her advice on how to attract um, recruiters, how to attract hiring managers to you using LinkedIn is like stuff that I would have never thought about because I'd never really think about my LinkedIn like that or my photo or any of the other stuff, the headline and all that stuff. I never really thought about it until we ended up partnering on that project, and she brought out some really, really good information about how to clean your LinkedIn up to be attractive to compete in that. LinkedIn is still like a very, very highly sought out place to find good candidates. I mean, I use it all the time to look for them. So, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other hiring managers do as well. But I just want to throw that in there is that I never actually really thought about my profile picture or my headline or any of those things, but they are important. So, yeah.
I'd be happy to partner with you if 10 of you want us to take a look at your profile and we can workshop it because when we do these workshops where it's like 50 people and I'm giving vague advice, usually it's really unique to each person. So if you tell Ellie, like put in the comments if you want us to hold something like that, a very intimate 10 person, and we'll get it done and your interview request will increase. And you'll be one of those developers that don't get on LinkedIn because people are always messaging you about new jobs. So
I've already said. I think I said in the beginning of this conversation that I've always sent people to Stephanie, and she has helped several of my friends. Okay, and I'm not making this up. She has helped several of my friends land jobs, and she's still doing it every day. So a lot of the info that you're getting here is really just me begging her to come in here and share it. So.
I felt the warmth in my back. So Atlanta, thank you for sharing that.
All right. I think this will be the last one. And this is surrounding career coaches. How do you know, how does a person, a tech, a techie, a technologist know when they're ready for a career coach?
When what you're doing isn't working. So for me, if you're personally, I feel like if you're on the job market for around 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, there's a problem. You need to book a really easy job search strategy session with someone you can trust. And then second, if you're trying to up level in some way, hold on. So yeah, if you're on the market for longer than 3 to 6 months, and when you keep tripping over your own feet in terms of career advancement. So either you're trying to get a raise, promotion, or people keep passing you over, or there's just some issue, hire someone. And I feel like it's the best kept secret because a lot of people don't mind spending thousands of dollars to work with someone on their career, but I feel like people just aren't talking about it. So yeah.
Got it. I know I said this was going to be last, but this basically just sort of adds to what you just said. How does one select a career coach? Like there's so many people out there offering coaching, and there's an increase in platforms of where you can find a coach at too. How do you find, like, how do people find you? Like how would a person who has identified that they need help and support, like what do? Do they go on LinkedIn? Do they look for networks like this to encourage them? How, can you just maybe elaborate just a little bit more on sort of your last talking point?
Yeah, I think you need to look at that person's resume. So I've fallen victim to dropping thousands of dollars on a shiny Instagram person. That helped me, but you know what I mean? So go to their LinkedIn. If you're looking for job search advice, personally, I would work with someone that was a recruiter in the past. There are a lot of career coaches that are helpful. I assume so based on like their marketing, that were writers or in sales or marketing
Mhm.
before becoming career coaches, and they're huge, they have
Mhm.
these huge followings, and they're giving good advice, and I assume that it's working, but I'm always just like, I don't get it. Like, you weren't a recruiter. Like, how do you know what to tell these people? I don't get that part. And then sometimes I get pissed off because the advice they're giving is just like some textbook advice that doesn't work.
Mhm.
Like stuff about how long a resume should be. Any recruiter doesn't give a crap about how long your resume is. We prefer longer resumes because it answers our questions in advance. But if
Yes.
you listen to these people that have these platforms, you should have a 2-page resume. And even if the hiring manager's like, why is the resume so long? We don't care. We're still pitching you. They're still going to be interviewing you. They're not going to say no because you have a 4-page resume. So my thing to you is, you find someone that's shiny on Instagram or whatever, or someone sends them to you, go to their LinkedIn, look at their resume. If they weren't in recruitment, were they in your field? Like, were they in your industry? If you're looking for job search support.
Mhm.
So if you're targeting product roles and this person has a product background and all of a sudden turn into a career coach, that could be a good career coach for you,
Yes.
especially if they advance to where you want to be. So
Gotcha.
that's my criteria. Other than that, I do trust gut and I trust waiting. So let's say you have an amazing sales call with them, which recruiters, we're extroverts, we're people, you will likely have a good sales call with them. Take some time, crunch the numbers, think about your career, talk to people that you trust, maybe take 48 hours, and then also don't be cheap and think about the benefits of your career. I've taken people that were making less than 50K to 110K, sign on bonus, relocation bonus,
Mhm.
entering a field that they had no experience in before except for like a few volunteer experiences, and now they're like directors in that field at the agency that was the top agency, and their resume now is magnificent.
Mhm.
So think about the long-term benefit of your career, think about the salary that you're going to be able to get, and then just like go to that person's resume to make sure that they have that experience. Don't think about their marketing.
Love it. That's really, really good advice.
Oh, this is the last thing. I
Go for it.
also find that the best career coaches that are like actually doing really, really good work sometimes have the worst websites, the worst LinkedIn's, the worst Instagrams, because
Mhm.
they're working so much. They probably have like 2 full-time jobs and then a
Mhm.
huge client list, and they're
Mhm.
always getting referrals, and that's how you came to them. So
Mhm.
necessarily what you see on the outside may not, like if you see someone that has like a janky website, but someone sent them to you, I would give that person a chance because they may like be the real deal.
Got it. So look for recruiters who have experience in the area that you're interested in or that you may be interested in. And then the other one that was that look for recruiters who are actually, or excuse me, look for career coaches who have experience in the field or the area that you are interested in was one of them. and then look for a career coach who and or look for a career coach who has experience as a recruiter.
If you want a new role, if you want to target a promotion, a raise, then you can work with a career coach with an HR background or some sort of hard degree, STEM, law. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Got it. Awesome. All right. We got more questions on there, but I'm going to stop right there. I just want to take maybe 2 or 3 from the chat. Is that you got time, Steph?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. One of them is, looks like Candace asks, how should one handle radio silence from job applications? For instance, there are instances when, despite having a referral or contact, they cease communication when asked for updates on the job. I think you kind of addressed that a little bit earlier.
So it depends on the timing. So if it was a referral, then you want to chase that like a bone, like a dog that has a bone. If it's someone that referred you, then you want to be reaching out to your friend who referred you to kind of check in on things, and maybe follow up again. Use that trick where it's like, oh, I have some other opportunities that are in late stages, but this one was on the top of my list for blank reason. I know you're busy. I don't want to reach out again. I definitely just wanted to kind of close the loop to see what's happening. Referrals are really important. Like if you have that, we'll spend a lot of time there. But if it's just a cold application and you connected with 3 recruiters at the company and like a friendly face and it's a ghosting situation, it shouldn't even be on your radar because we need to practice a higher volume application strategy in this market. So apply to new roles, pretend like if you interviewed for a role and you followed up twice and it's nothing, pretend they died, like the company just died, and just keep going and applying. You don't know what's happening for that to happen. It may have nothing to do with you. So
that's great. Thank you.
And then I will just say, I hope that helps. Sometimes I can give a generic answer because I don't know what your situation is. So if you may want to work with a career coach that can actually understand who was it that you reached out to, when did you reach out to them, how well do you know them, and they can craft a better strategy for you to get that thing back online.
Got it. Awesome. Somebody, when we were having the conversation around ATS, somebody asked a question. How are ATS systems being audited? Do you know?
I do know that at Sony, we had to like go through thousands of profiles and save them somewhere, and like there was even like a filing system. So they do get audited, and it is it's our responsibility to do it. But that's as much as I know. And then there's opt-in, opt-out things that candidates have to check to be in our system. We can't message them if they only want to apply to a certain role. So I think that there's things baked into ATSs and there's work on our end, but that's like the most I can tell you.
Gotcha.
That's a curious question. I wonder why. Are you getting hounded by people from that company? They're still sending you roles and you want your information to be removed, or?
I think there's a big distress with these systems, these AI systems, these ATS systems, because part of it is that we don't know how they work. You know what I mean? We know that they're reading something from our resumes, but like, what are they weighing on, and how do they get in the front of the, like, how do they get in front of the recruiter, or how do they get in front of the hiring manager? Is sort of the gray, empty area that us as candidates don't really know. So, just having this conversation, I learned a lot about ATS. I didn't even know what you just mentioned about them, and how the process is. But I think one of the reasons why that question was there is like, people are worried. People are worried that they're being disqualified from these systems, or from a good opportunity because of a system that may be programmed to be biased.
Right. And then it's your job to save and invest enough to sit down with someone that has hired, that can take a look at your resume and talk through what's happening. And people are doing this, but they're not talking about it. So I would love, we would love to help and kind of see what's happening and kind of answer some of these questions. And then an ATS system is just like a platform. It's like, we see your resume, we see the answers, we see where you came from, you applied via LinkedIn or you applied via ZipRecruiter. Maybe depending on the ATS, it'll give you a score. It'll highlight certain things for us, and then we can see your formatted resume, and sometimes it parses it into just like a regular doc, and then we can send it to the hiring manager either through the ATS or manually. We can send your offer letter through it. It just depends on what the tool is. But there's the only bias that would be happening is if your resume doesn't have enough keywords and you're battling against 600 other applicants.
Got it. Awesome. I think that's it, Steph.
Okay.
We've held you here for a little bit over an hour and 20 minutes. I want to give you time to share your website. I'm going to plug my ebook soon, but I want to make sure that anyone who's interested in, there's several people who asked for follow-up consultations with you. I know you have some introductory things that you do. You want to talk about how they can reach you, what the website is, and anything else you want to share before we jump off?
Yeah. You guys, do you know that I've been in the private chat channel? I didn't know that there was like a comment section. I didn't see any of these comments. I'm so glad this is helpful, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the first place. So let's connect on LinkedIn. I'm Stephanie Heath on LinkedIn. Let's just connect. If you see anyone in my network, DM me. Hey, I was on the Black WPT. I saw this person. I want to apply to a role. Is it okay if I, you know what I mean? Like, tell me what you know about this person. I'm happy to do that. So let's connect on LinkedIn first. And then if you want to visit the website to see if there's any services that you want to invest in, you can do that. It's soulworkandsixfigures.com. One word, and is AND. I would start there. In the next 3 days, my team is adding a few more services to the site. So you'll see that if you visit the store. And then we do have a Facebook group that honestly is a little dead because everyone has roles already. But if you want to join the community, it's Soul Work in Six Figures on Facebook. And the last thing I'll share is that I'm transitioning to have all my sessions in the evening and on the weekends. So if you want to book something, you book it and you'll see the normal hours, and you just may see me kind of switch it over. Like I'll reach out to you and we'll reschedule it for the weekend. But I love helping people that look like me, that are the same color as me, that are ambitious and want to make a ton of money. It gives me fulfillment. It makes me want to keep doing this. So even if you jump on a consultation to just say, hey, talk through things and not book with me, I'd love to meet you and like be in each other's network.
Yeah, she has an awesome network. The Soul Work network that she has, I believe it's Facebook page. They're awesome. She goes live a lot in those groups as well, and always dropping gems. So definitely, I put her LinkedIn in there, and I also put the website. So feel free to. Sorry, the page doesn't exist. Soul Work in Six. Did I spell it wrong? Soulworkinsixfigures.com.
Let me see what you put in the chat. Someone put Holy Ghost ghosting. I want to catch up on you.
I saw that. I was like, wait a minute.
How do I type in the name? So it's SOULANDSIXFIGURES.com. Soul Work in Six Figures.
I put that SOULWORK.
First of all, let me find. No, it's there. It popped up. Don't scare me.
Okay, put it. Yeah, if you can put that in there real quick. For any of the newbies, the tech newbies, anyone transitioning, I'm working on the third rendition of my ebook called Transitioning to Tech. You can go to the website, transitioningtotech.com. There's an ebook from last year, from 2023. Of course, the way tech works, things change so fast. So there's a new version coming very soon. I'm working on it right now. But if you want to grab my ebook, it is transitioningtotech.com. And then I know several people have asked to link up with Seth, and a few people have asked to link up with me. I'll be reaching out to you. But yeah, link to the Facebook. Go to blackwpt. blackwpt.com is our website. There is a link to join. If you're a person of color, there's a link to join. You press that button. It'll take you to our Facebook group where you can apply to join us. We are a little slow with letting you in, but definitely fill the application, and I'll look for you. Say that you were in this call as well, if you can. blackwpt.com. Stephanie is soulworkingsixfigures.com. I added her LinkedIn in the chat. And any parting anything you want to say as last minute? I know we stuck you here for an hour and a half, man. This is
No,
awesome.
I wish I saw the comments because I could have engaged. I just thought it was.
That's good. We don't want you to
know
get
who was
distracted
there.
by the comments while we're talking. No
Yeah.
distraction. That's perfect. So
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that I actually know firsthand what it feels like. Like, it's wild. For me, if I were to open up my LinkedIn, go to my job section, and every role that looks interesting has 300 plus applicants and it was released 2 hours ago, like, I don't know how I would feel. So if you are gainfully employed and you're looking to discreetly resign, hold on to the role for a little bit longer. See if you can get with someone, even if it's like a mentor, someone that you know could give you some good advice to kind of create a strategy, a job search strategy. You want to be messaging people, on LinkedIn, messaging people at the company in addition to the applications. And then if you're already on the market, you've been laid off, I personally would invest in working with a job search coach so that you can get off the market because this is just more different than I've seen in the past. So yeah, that's what I would say. And then I do just also want to say, kind of stay away from the negativity. Obviously, DNI is what it is. I wouldn't join those groups where it is just only job hunting because sometimes they can be really negative. Try to stay in your bubble of, okay, what can I do next? What can I do next? And not take things so seriously and just kind of like hold out hope. For me, every role that I've ever received was one that I didn't expect. Like, it probably wasn't even one that I applied to. So just know that the place where you're likely going to land is one that you can't see right now. So let me just keep taking that next right step and then playing with my kids, going to bed, eating a good dinner, and then starting back up the next day. So
I love that. I love it. Any enthusiasts, any tech enthusiasts, look for our Facebook group. I'm not even sure if there's any of you on the call, but if there is, Breaking into Tech on Facebook as well is our diverse sort of open public group that you can join with a whole bunch of information about how to get into tech. So it's a free public group that you can join. And again, it's Breaking into Tech. And yeah, this is so good, Stephanie. I know this is all a whole bunch of info, lots of gems dropped. I really appreciate you. And we got to bring you back. I'm going to give you time because I know your schedule's crazy, but we'll bring you back at another time to dive deeper probably into this whole LinkedIn thing at one point. All right.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.